Hi, we just finished meeting for pronunciation practice on Tuesday, November 14th, and we started with ultimatum. Ultimatum. The second T turns to a D. Ultimatum. And then I put January and February, even though I'm pronouncing them too correctly here. January, February. Usually the U changes to Y. January and February. Forget about the R after the B. Most people forget that it's there because we don't hear it and then it gets spelled wrong. I also, in my head, have to think February every time I spell it, write it, compared to how I say it. February. Enter or inner. You can have the T or drop the T. Interference. Interference. Contemporary. We don't have to say contemporary, just P. Contemporary. The contemporary view of pronunciation. Vicissitude. Vicissitude. Chamfer. The vowel is a, as in hat. Chamfer. Grudge. Single syllable. Grudge. Don't hold a grudge. Pulse. I put this weird LPLS because I want you to think of it as putting your tongue in the L position first and then making the P. Pull. Pulse. And then the S. But keep the airflow going so that you don't stop it and have a T sound in there like pulse. It should be pulse. The L has constant airflow and the S has constant airflow. So pulse. He has a finger on the pulse of something. Pronunciation. I put this here because I often hear people combine this word, pronunciation, the noun, with pronounce, the verb, and making it pronunciation. So they're separate. The noun, nun, pronunciation, and the verb is pronounce with an ow, pronounce. So you could ask, what is the pronunciation of pronounce? Or how do you pronounce pronunciation? Hawthorn. I thought this was just a name, but it turns out it's a type of plant. So I learned something new. Hawthorn. Fulfill. We don't have to say the first L, fulfill. You can drop it and nobody will notice. Fulfill makes it easier. Fulfill. And full is the same situation as pulse. Make your L first and then make your F full. So you're just making the sound of the L. I put in here because that's the closest sound. Just full. And then sonority. Sonority. And if that was all that we had, that would be easy peasy. But we have this really long word, and it's a good opportunity to talk about how to even begin pronouncing a word that is this long. So when you see first how it's written, so the first thing you can do is to divide it into smaller chunks, and chunks where you can see some meaning, that maybe it's a word you already know or part of a word you are familiar with. So I know pneumonia, so I thought pneumono would be a group. Ultra is a word. Microscopic is a word. Silico, I know silicon. Volcano, and then ni, I don't know. Osis, I know, is a suffix. So then you can divide it into smaller groups by dividing it into syllables. And I already have these, the capital ones marked, but I probably shouldn't have because the whole point is just to divide it into syllables. So nu, mo, no, ultra, microscopic, silico, volcano, co, ni, o, sis. And then here I have look it up in the dictionary for primary stress. There will be a lot of primary stress, which means the vowel in that syllable gets higher and you stretch it longer. And then there'll be a lot of secondary stress when the little mark is at the bottom of the syllable, which means it gets longer but not higher. So this one I copied, I made a small change to K, volcano, from dictionary.com because I like the fact that they will show how it could be written the way that it sounds, which is what I do in column B of the spreadsheet. So they're using bold to mark the primary stress, that those should be the sounds that stand out to you. Let's see if you can hear it.
Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
On Merriam-Webster, on dictionary.com, you can also see the IPA, and the primary stress is the little mark at the top, and the secondary stress is the little mark at the bottom before that syllable that will be longer but not higher. On Merriam-Webster, they only show the phonetic symbols and they only use the little marks for above for primary and below for secondary and tertiary. But they had a little different stress. They have the new and then scop and sil and k. And that made sense to me, that volcano.
Pneumono-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
And she also takes little breaks kind of between the main words. So now, practice it a few times. And to me, it's easier to remember it when it's back into the word groups compared to all the syllables. So, pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. Pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. I did it. So if you have a long word, even if it's not this long, even if it's like, 5 syllables, that's the same thing you should do, is look for groups that you might recognize from other parts of words, and then the syllables, and then look it up in the dictionary to find which syllables have the primary stress that you will say higher and longer and make those stand out. And then repeat it until you can kind of fall into whatever kind of rhythm could be possible. Pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis. Either way, have fun with it. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos, for the interesting word and the fun that it created for me. Have a good day, and I hope to see you next week.